people, welcome to Embrace the Journey podcast. I am your host, Alexis Forteza, and this is part 2 of the interview with Miss Ashley Beverly. Now, hold on. If you did not watch part 1, either watch it or listen, I'm gonna need you to pause this, go back, watch and listen, however you want to take it in, that episode, and then we can come back here, okay? Just do that for me, okay? Because you need to have part 1 in order to have part 2, okay? But anywho's, if you were here last week, again, Ashley did share so much of herself and her life to you guys, and she's got more. I know, she's got some more. There might be a little surprise at the end of this episode, so I'm gonna let you watch it and listen to it. But again, without me even going on, information is below for Miss Ashley, as if you want to follow her, support her as well. And let's dive right back into this lovely episode with Miss Ashley Beverly.
You know, the thing about, this journey called life that we're on right now is that you never know. I mean, for me, again, I'm still exploring things that I need to still work on, and I am into my adulthood. You know what I'm saying? It never ends, and again, it wasn't by my own will that I got through all of that. It's just a part of my life. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, like, that suitcase is always going to be there.
Girl, I still got, I wouldn't say I have a suitcase, so you know how you have like a check bag? That's the big one. Then you got the carry-on, then you got the personal item. I would say, I think I have a personal item still. And that personal item, it's those little pesky thorns. Like Paul always had a thorn on his side, and we never really know what his thorn was. But those thorns, sometimes, and I had to come to realization, sometimes God doesn't remove them fully. Because he's, in his mind, he's like, nah, like, I need to keep that in there. Not to make your life worse or whatever, but I want to keep this thorn because you cannot overcome that without me. So,
yes. And that is part of the journey, right? So you can find out what your thorns are, right? So I am learning what mine are. Like, for me, my thorn is, I wish I would have never went through all that. I wish I would have just had a normal childhood and just did, and I did. Let me just clarify. I did have a normal childhood. My comfort and solace was in my father and my family. That was my healthy childhood. So just to clarify, in case they ever watch this. So I did have a good childhood. I traveled. I had an amazing period of my life, but I also had a really heavy part of my life. And so part of those thorns is, for one, realizing that the thorn is just a part of you, right? So my thorn is not like your thorn. Your thorn is different. My thorn is, part of mine is, it's okay to trust people. It's okay to fully give your trust to someone that you love. And not letting those failures close yourself to trusting people. That is my
I got plenty of thorns.
I'm still dealing with it today. So, I'm saying the Bible talks about that too, having that little thorn in your side, and that thorn you cannot navigate without the Holy Spirit, without God involved, if that's what you believe in. So, part of this process too is realizing that it's okay to have, like I said, those outlets are healthy, but if those outlets are being connected to your character, that's the problem, right? Like, having that degree, if you didn't have that degree, is that going to completely destroy you as a person? Having millions of dollars, is that connected to who you are when you wake up every day? Can you be okay with yourself in your mental health journey to realize that I don't have to define myself by my degrees or my money? They're great things to have, but the issue is still at hand if you have not dealt with it. So like you said, all these celebrities, all these degrees, they're great. They're great. Wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. But having them, you got to find the motive in having it, right? It's all about your intentions and why. And so many of us, and I say us because me included, we try to, again, that suitcase, you just keep packing it. It just keeps getting packed. And at some point, It's going to rip open.
You know how they charge you?
It's going to, and it's
Is
going to
it
be
how they
too heavy
charge
to
you an
carry.
upcharge at the airport because it's too heavy? Baby.
Don't talk about Spirit Airlines like that. Listen, having $200 for one check
Listen.
bag, you got to be kidding
And
me.
because I think sometimes, like, you know, I'm very, and Ashley knows this firsthand. So if anyone knows me personally, I am the queen of analogies, and I
Oh,
will make
yes.
one up, and it's beautiful. And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, listen,
Right.
when you're trying to get to your next version of yourself, or the next whatever that is for you, you cannot take everything with you. And that doesn't mean, we always think, oh, that's people. Yeah, some people can't go with you. Okay. Certain mindsets, but certain traumas cannot go. And if you are willing,
Yeah.
you will be able to reconcile that before you board your flights, before you pack your bag. Because why would any God of any religion, whatever you follow, why would any God want for you to bring negativity into your next? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. So I don't want people to become imprisoned by their past. It happened and it sucked. Like, it sucked. But because I'm learning in life, there's a duality in life. Something can suck, but I also can have something to look forward to. And I think both men and women, I think we live in a beautiful time now where we can say we're going to therapy, and it's not like, oh, you're messed up. It's like, no, I would applaud it. Let me hear somebody telling me, yeah, I'm going to therapy. I would literally roll out the red carpet for them. Literally. Because I'd be like, you're
Yes.
taking a necessary step to becoming the freer version of yourself. Because when you're not healed, you can't receive love. You can't give love. I think resentment is probably one of the hardest, nastiest bags to pack in your bag. It's just heavy. And
Yes.
I think it sounds
Yes.
like resentment might have been one of yours, is from what I'm just kind of gathering. But I always think of the Beyonce song for some reason when I hear resentment.
There's resentment, I think, right?
And you know,
There is.
it's just, I just
Yes.
love hearing, and like, let me preface too, like, there's some parts of your story that's the first time I heard it, and I was like, no way, she went through all that. So for anybody, like, I mean, because you just seem so much lighter. Like, I'm telling you, you really don't seem like you've been through what you've said, which is a blessing. What kind of encouragement for people who are really terrified to deal with themselves, not so much the other people, because I know it's easy to put blame on your parents and the dudes you date and your friends that backstab you. That's easy. But what can you tell somebody who is so terrified to looking themselves in the mirror? How did you overcome, I guess, self-forgiveness? Because that's a part of healing as well.
My biggest encouragement to someone who is truly scared, try to remember that as much fear as you're feeling, the blessing in addressing it will be way bigger than your fear. That is the
Amen
first
to
step.
that.
If you could tell yourself in your mind, I am so scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I just feel like I'm going to fall apart. Realize that it is a part of the process and it will be scary and you will not like it. I would be lying if I said, oh, you're going to feel wonderful. It's just going to go by
Warm and
easily.
fuzzy.
Part of your, yeah, I'm going to just breeze right through this process. That is not how it is. And it's taken me a lifetime to go through that process. It is not an easy process and it's not a short one. It's going to be a process that will take a lot of time, and you go at the pace that you're comfortable with. You do not have to overpressure yourself to deal with things quickly, because if you have years of trauma and resentment and anger and you try to overdo it too fast, you're going to actually set yourself back. And you're going to set yourself back a million paces. So it's okay to be gentle on yourself. It's okay to tell yourself, I'm really sad. I'm really angry. And it's okay to feel that emotion.
Feel it.
Feel it. If you're sad, if you're angry, give yourself the permission to feel that, because it's okay. We go through life denying those emotions, and then they just keep, you need to allow yourself to feel it. It took years of me not only going through that, feeling it, that anger, that healing process, but even when I got to the next stage, which was learning new processes, I still messed up. So the process is not one and done for everyone. It's just going to be at the pace that you want to go. For me, I got through the emotional part of it. I got through the, it is what it is. It's a part of my life. But now the next phase for me was learning that my worth is also part of the process. And how do I create a sense of self-worth and self-love for myself, and not hold myself to the fire of what I've been through? And that process also, I messed up terribly in the beginning. And the reason I messed up so terribly was because, for me as a woman, being fully real here, I went through a really bad period of almost like a rebellion / promiscuity period of my life. So I was like, okay, so I want to create a sense of self-worth. So my part of my journey was just promiscuity in the beginning. I needed to feel like I was on top of the world. I needed to feel like this is my life. You know what I'm saying? This is what I want to do with myself. And so a part of me went through a whole rebellious phase well into my 20s for years and years. And it just brought me to another spiral. When I thought I had addressed
But I'm
everything
good.
100%. I'm good. And then I went into another phase, through this whole healing phase of promiscuity. And fully transparent here, I remember I finally gotten to a point in my 20s, I would say probably 26, 27. I was literally in my bedroom, and I got down on my knees, and I just couldn't take one more promiscuous sex session. I'm like, God, I feel like I am empty on the inside. I just don't know what else to do. I am broken. I feel dirty. I feel nasty. And I just need you to fix it. I just cried. I just, all of those years of me trying to fill the hole, it just burst. It just burst open. And that was the point for me where I think spiritually God was like, now you can start the healing process. Now that you have finally got to the point where the well has burst over in your life emotionally, now I can come in and I can really do the work.
Be something, because it's funny because everyone's rock bottom is different. It's funny because
Yeah.
that's crazy that you say 27, because I guess God likes 27 because he found me at 27. I was in shambles.
Yes.
My little heart was just in shambles. And it's when you're in actual shambles
Mhm.
is when he can do his best work, because now, like, he can work with shattered glass. We cannot work in our own might. If I'm shattered, if I try to put myself together with my own might, it's gonna look like a hot mess. But God somehow
Yes.
If you humble yourself, that's what you were doing. You humbled yourself in his presence and were like, listen here, man, like, I'm paraphrasing in what in my head. It's like, listen here, man, like, Dad, I
Right.
messed up, and I thought I was doing good, so I decided to live a certain way because I felt like I deserved it. Because I mean, deep down, we feel like we deserve something sometimes. Like, I deserve attention.
Like you're entitled to stuff.
And then and because he is such a gracious father, he actually will let us do it. He's like, okay, go ahead. Knowing
Yep.
his child, he knew that you were going to hit your rock bottom. And I love that because I want somebody to hear that, like, loud and clear. If you just become humble, not in front of your family, not in front of your boo things, not on social media, in the presence of your own bedroom or your car, wherever you are, you can honestly pull over, go to the bush, something. If you just go behind a tree.
Go behind a tree.
If you just humble yourself and you really mean it in your heart, like, listen here, God, I'm a mess. I don't know. And you can even say stuff like, I don't even know how you still love me, but like, here I am. I can attest it. You just said it. Everybody that I've been on here can attest it. If I bring in the mailman right now, and if he has a testimony, it'll probably be the same blueprint. Then the blueprint is God can do more with you being humble and being honest than you acting like you ain't got no issues.
But you know, that humility comes when it's like running on your own hamster wheel, right? Eventually you're going to get tired, and eventually you're just going to give out and just say, you know what, God,
I'm tired
this
of
has got to
myself.
stop. This I'm tired of myself. Well, I need you to come fix it because I am tired. I'm tired, and you get to a point where you're like, I literally cannot take one more day of this. I cannot take one more second. And that was a point where, as a woman, you know, I really started to develop my sense of self-love and self-worth. Like, I am worth it. I am worth trusting. I am worth loving. I am worth being in love with someone. I am worth dating somebody. I am worth it. And it wasn't until I got to that point where God finally made his work really show in my life. And so these last few years have been just on that journey. Just really, as a woman, just like realizing that I am worth it. And you know, offline, me and you, our DMs personally, I'm still on this journey of trying to. I'm still on this journey of, you know, finally getting to like the point in my life where I'm like, you know what, I want to date. I'm open to dating somebody. I'm open to finally getting that sense of trust and loving and caring.
It's hard.
It's hard. And you know, I'm still dealing with that feeling of worth. But now I feel like I'm just getting to the point where like I have that strong fence behind my back now. I can finally, if I fall back, I'm not gonna crumble. You know, like
Let me
you
tell
would at
you,
27. Now I gotta.
there's something about 30, because I'm 33. So and I don't know why I love the sound of 33. I don't know what it is with me. I thought I was gonna dread. Oh, I'm 30. No, I'm 33. Like, I got some wisdom now. You know,
You got some
there was
experience, girl.
something about, and you can probably add on to this too. But I know prior to me having my encounter with God, I would crumble, and it would take me years to get over things. If not, I wouldn't even deal with them. I was just like, nope, I'm just gonna walk around and be like a Latina that I am. I'm just gonna be hot off my mouth. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm gonna throw my chancla. Like, that was me. And then with God, if you allow him to do the work, because he's very gentle. He's not gonna push you. Sometimes, depending on where he needs you to be, sometimes he'll give you an accelerated course. I feel like he gave me an accelerated course because
Giving
he
you
gave me
6-week
6 week classes.
classes. It's supposed to be a year.
Clearly, he
Right.
wanted me to be a leader in something. So, but what I've learned is, even though I do life with God, I still get disappointed. I still am a little fearful,
Mhm.
like, oh, I gotta put my heart out there. But whenever I am disappointed, whenever I feel like, oh, like that sucked, the recovery, it's like I need to get it out, maybe to like a friend. Once I get it out of my system, I'm good. And that's not me avoiding. That's not me. Oh, I'm avoid. It's no. I'm like the awareness is so there that it's like, wait, okay, this person did that. That's obviously not a reflection of me. This is where I played my part. Cool. I'm gonna make sure I do things differently going forward, and that's it.
You know what? I think you're right. It's like an age thing. I don't know what it is about like that literal.
Like
I
a
want to say
switch.
it's like a supernatural threshold age where it's like literally like you hit 30 and it's like everything that used to make you crumble, now all of a sudden it's like breeze. Yeah, now you're not going to hold yourself to the fire as much. You may feel a little
Right.
disappointed. You may be a little angry, and that's just normal. I mean, even on our walk with God, you're going to be human, and you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be angry. You're still going to make mistakes, but there's something about, especially as women, we all get to that certain point in our womanhood where we're like, you know what? We are not going to deal with this no more. I am not going to sit here and be mad at myself. I ain't going to hold myself to the fire no more. I'm going to let it go off my shoulder, and you're just going to keep it moving. That's exactly what you do, but you're still
Yeah.
going to struggle. We all, at some point as women, whether you're 20, whether you're 18, whether you were 37, 57, we get to the point as women, especially where, you know what, I have got to stand in my power as a woman. I just got to stand in it and I
Right.
got to rock with it. And you just go, you literally go in faith. And whatever your life has been to that point, you just take it in stride and you keep
Right.
it moving. That is something my family has always taught me and all my siblings. You're going to go through life and life will get really hard. But the best skill you can take for yourself is when you go through those times, you keep going. Even if you're going at a
I don't care
turtle
if you gotta
pace in
walk.
life and
Just
you are just if you got to
you gotta
roll,
crawl.
if you got to crawl, you got to crawl, if you got to use one finger to propel yourself, whatever you got to do, you keep moving forward. Even if it's just killing you on the inside, you keep going. And I've just learned that those periods are when God really can work. Like when it's really, God likes to show his power, right? Every opportunity he gets to show his
Now
glory, he
see,
gonna show it.
he
Okay,
loves
he
to
gonna
show
he
off.
gonna
I don't
pop
know.
in
People think that
and so
he's a very gentle guy,
yes.
but baby, let me tell you, he likes to show out.
Well, he's gentle, but he could be, he likes to show off. He any opportunity to put his hand and guide you and help you
Right.
grow, he gonna do it. Okay, whether he's gotta. But here's the thing too is, and I'm sure you can attest to it too. When you start moving forward, even at a turtle pace, be
Child,
ready.
you got the wind coming in the opposite direction. You've got somehow you got chains on you that you're like, wait, who are you and why are you pushing me back? And that's where and the analogy I use is
Mm-hmm.
running. Since I've started this running journey, there are times I am just like, I don't want to go any further, but I said I don't care if I'm walking to the finish line. What I'm not going to do is not get to the
Yep.
end. Like, and I think that's the faith walk. And I want to encourage too, like, it's very normal. The minute you make a decision to better yourself and you begin to step forward, there
Mm-hmm.
are going to be every single thing that wants to push you right back to being where you are. Because let's be honest, we have two forces in this world,
Yep.
good and evil. If you're striving for good and you've been in evil for so long, why in the world would the evil want to let go of you?
Right.
It wants you
Right.
to stay there. It wants you to
Exactly.
be in patterns.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy is very conniving because he, like it says, steal, kill, and destroy. You can do that very simply by being in cycles, being in patterns, staying stagnant. All those little things add up, and it is hard. And like in your case, I know we've talked about it, child. That would have to be a whole separate episode because that
We can do
we got
another
to
one
do
if you
another
want.
one on dating for real, for real. We're gonna set that one up after this call
Oh my gosh. Oh
because
my gosh.
now
Woo,
when you
child.
become as a woman, and even this is for men too. I don't want to like just box it in. Whenever you decide to better yourself
Yeah.
in any capacity, now when you go looking for
Mm-hmm.
someone that you want to partner up with in life, it's like, wow, people have not done the work. And it's, or they reject
Yep.
you because they're intimidated by you. I've realized it in my own personal, because as you can see, I'm a woman that I say it like it is. I have to,
Oh, I know. Oh,
you
I know.
know,
You don't have to tell me that.
and
I
even
know.
if I say it with love, people always love to point me as, oh, you're too much, or I'm too headstrong. And it's like, no, I just know what I want, and that you're intimidated. And that rejection is like,
Yeah.
oh, it's very weird. But when you start walking a life a certain way and doing life a certain way, you're going to get rejected. That's not
Yep.
anything that, I don't care if you a believer or not, you better yourself. People of your past and random folks will reject you because they want you to
Yep.
stay
And you know what?
below them, because in their mind they haven't leveled up. So they're like, they
Yep.
see you out here glowing, looking good, happy, joyful, and they're like, how dare you?
Right. You know, it's funny. You brought up a good point because, like I said, we can do a whole other podcast or 10 about dating. Okay. In this day and age with all the
Listen,
conversations that we've had. But there's one thing that I am currently in the process of learning, and is that when you are determined, when you have made a decision in your mind, I don't have to be perfect in this journey, but you know what? I want to do better, and I'm gonna do better, and I'm gonna make some changes. The moment you make that decision, it's like a like goggles just all of a sudden they just come off of you, and you really begin
people
to
for who they are.
see, like you said, people for who they are, and then how they really feel
Hello.
about you. And especially when you hold them standards up and you are unwilling to waver them standards, you really begin to see who is for you. And these last couple, I want to say couple weeks, let me tell you, the people from the past that you think you have put behind, all of a sudden they want to
Hey,
pop right
you,
back up. They
how
want
you
to pop
been?
right back up. Hey, what you doing? Hey, how you been? And it's like, hold on a minute. So when this was going on in the past, it
Hmm.
wasn't a problem, right? But now years later, all of a sudden, what? And it's still a question. Like, what makes you now want to pop back up after all this time? When we close the door, you want to poke your head in the crack of the door and see what's going on. What? And it just, I wonder if that's like a
I
spiritual
think
thing
so. And
or
here and
what.
here's my advice, because I know it's happened to
Mhm.
you, me, and anybody who's listened. There are, I don't want to demonize
Mhm.
people of the past, because there are some people that
Right.
can truly change. God might ordain
Right.
somebody from your past, I should say, to come back, and maybe he has a certain plan. But this is my only word of advice. If the past comes back looking exactly like the past, don't even entertain it. Now, if the
Yes.
past comes back and you know, hear, see, wow, like this is different, then of course, obviously proceed with caution, but don't completely be like, oh, screw you. But a lot of times, the past is still ain't changed. And what it is sometimes, it could be a spiritual test,
Yeah.
or what a lot of people do, and this goes for men and women, because I know some girls be doing it too to some dudes. They just want to see,
Mhm.
do I have
Oh yeah.
access anymore? And that's when you look to the peephole and be like, hey, I see you. I see that you're in my front door, but it's a no.
You know what? You're right. I think it is. I think you're right because it's like, like you said, people can change, right? We have to be open to the fact that there are people in our life that truly want to
Right.
do better and they just want another chance. And that's totally different. If you and that person had good terms and, they just want to do things differently, that's a
That's a whole
whole
different
different
story.
thing. But I feel like it is often the enemy's work in when you have made a decision that you want to go to the next chapter in your life, or like I told you before, when that next chapter is
Child.
approaching, when it's close, all of a sudden it's
All hell
like
breaks loose.
the people that are
Literally.
from the past, literally
You're
everything just
like,
breaks open. And it's like, okay, so, like it just makes you question. It just makes you question things, right? And I think that is the whole point. It's to kind of derail us on this next chapter in life of, especially when it comes to dating. Like
right.
that's really
No,
what we're talking
we
about.
really
Dating.
that's gonna be another
Next
episode because that could be 3 hours.
that is y'all. We could do a whole dating spoof
But I
podcast
think
on that one.
in general,
But
when you decide to be different from your family, especially your family, if
mhm.
if you are the first in
Yeah.
your family to do a real serious walk or just a change from the internal world outward, even your family, I want to caution some people, like, your family might not understand, but that doesn't mean that you should stop doing what you're trying to do, because I have the same experience. My family was like,
Mhm.
why are you moving to Texas? Because I did it so last minute. Like, I look back now, I'm like, I really
Yeah.
gave them a week's notice. How terrible of me. Um,
Dang girl, you give jobs two
girl,
weeks notice at least. You give your
because I
family
spent
what?
I spent the other 2 weeks trying to figure out, how is the baby of the family gonna tell them I'm going to a state that I don't know a thing or know nobody. I didn't know how to, like, present the package. And then when it just blurted, I was like, well,
Right.
it's fine because I'm leaving anyways. And then from there.
Oh gosh, you just blew up a whole nuclear bomb on your family, girl.
And at first, they thought I was crazy. They're like, we don't understand, and da da da. And I just remember I told them, I'm like, listen, I gotta go. There is a very clear door. Like, it's so clear that the rest of the doors that I wanted open, they're not even opening. Like, it's beeline. And I said, I will be okay. And it took them, because then COVID happened and all that stuff. And fast forward to now, I'm on my 5th year. They now, every time I go home, I'm teaching them about God and what he does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I wasn't
Yeah.
in the presence of my family, nothing. But sometimes you got to be away from your family to eventually, when you are called back, now you teaching them. It's very much Joseph vibes, where his family was like, I'm gonna sell you into slavery, and the poor guy went through
Yeah.
everything, and then his family was like, oh, you snap, you're the king now. Yeah. And Joseph is very much like me. He
Yeah.
cried, and then he got it together, and then he helped his family. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
even Joseph, that just shows you, whatever journey, your family's gonna be like, why are you doing that? Oh, you think you're somebody now? No, I'm just bettering myself
Mhm.
because I don't want to be triggered every 5 seconds that you say something to me.
It's you reminded me of like it's same thing with Moses, right? Moses, born into chaos, was literally sent away from the only
Yeah,
family he ever had, was raised by a family that wanted to slaughter his own people, and when he realized what they were doing, what they had done, what did he do? He went right back to his people and he set them free, even though that was a whole 40-year
child.
journey. But
Right.
the point is, God will often use again, it requires separation, right? Separation, growth, doing things different, thinking different, acting different. because he does want to send you back to those that you love and that love you. So you can teach him things differently, and that's okay. Like that's the most normal, I think, in my opinion, like the most normal part of life is you should get away from your roots and your family and keep them close.
Right.
Keep them close, but at the same time establish your own, foundation and the way you want to do things. Like, for me, when I do enter the period of my life where I am a mother and a wife, one day at some point, I have just made a decision, and me and my family have talked about this. Like, talked about this a million times. And, the one thing that I want to do differently for my children is like, there's not going to be any secrets, right? There's not going to be any lies between us. Like, it does not matter what has happened. I'm going to be the rock that you could tell everything to, and I am not
Hello.
going anywhere.
Yes.
Right? Like, that is something, right? But that does require, and the
It's
separation is
not.
not easy. Anybody who's listening, I know we make it sound easy because
Right.
we've done it and we're on this journey, but it is not easy, but it is the most normal
And here's
part
the
of
thing too.
life. It is okay to be
No
separated.
one saw, literally nobody, my wilderness, which was when I drove here to Texas, and that 2020, the way it was just orchestrated. Listen, God doesn't play checkers, he plays chess. The fact that he moved me out of my hometown, because I love Florida now, but at that time in my life, I needed to get the hell up out of there. I was like, it was
You were
it
just
was
ready to
the
go.
environment in which I was hurt in, so I couldn't reconcile anything there. There was no way. Somehow he's orchestrated my life to come to Dallas. Boom, COVID hits. Everything shut down. So guess what?
Okay.
I had to learn again my accelerated 6-week course to deal with myself and to detach. Well, I wouldn't say detach, but I had to learn how to think for myself for the first time. I hadn't realized until I got away from everybody that I didn't know how to be either my yes was my yes or my no was my no. I was always well, whatever you say. And now, me today, baby, when I say yes,
Okay.
yes, no is no. And I'm
Right.
going to bed. I don't want to go to the party. Good night.
This is it. Right. Whatever I say, whatever
Or,
I decide
oh,
is
you
it.
should go
That's it.
here to meet people. Nope, that's not who I am. Sorry.
You know what though? That is so, you know what? I mean, to come to that point to where like you are so certain in your decisions that nothing can waver. I mean, that's a skill. Like, you have a skill. That is like a skill you have to master. Honestly, like that shows a great maturity and a great character development when
Right.
you could actually decide what you say, and then you stand by it, and then you
And it's
keep
hard.
standing by it. You don't let
No.
anybody else waver.
And
It is
the trick,
very hard. Like, I still struggle with
girl,
that
it only gets
sometimes, I'll
better
be
every
honest.
year. And
Yeah.
it gets better, one, with age, but
Yeah.
two, one of my secret sauces to that, right? The secret is I sat with myself for so long, and no matter how busy my day is, I'd like to do it at night, because at night I'm more like because I'm also,
Right.
as we're filming this, I'm not on social media right now. I'm just really, I come back to myself. I ask myself, okay, good? Are we stressed? Are you tired? Are you doing too much? It's almost like I do a self check-in. And I've learned myself that, sometimes I can do things outside of my schedule. It's not gonna be the end of the world. But for me to constantly work outside of who I am, and when I don't mean like basic stuff. I'm talking like my identity, my values, I can only stretch so much because now I'm being dishonest with myself. And it takes a lot of practice. As a former people pleaser,
Right.
there are times where I feel my people pleasing like oh my gosh, you said no? Now they're not going to be your friend? And it's like, if my no ends a friendship, then they weren't my friend. I've
Yep.
lost, not
Yep.
I shouldn't say lost, but while being in Dallas, because I've learned that I want to explore different hobbies and I want to grow, that baby, when you start trying different things, you start really seeing who's your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even basic stuff that I've come to
Mm-hmm.
terms with. Everybody, when you got a celebration, either it's your birthday, a podcast, when I announced my podcast, I immediately saw who was for me and who wasn't. And there's not a single ounce of
Mm.
resentment in my heart. It's more or less of like, I see you. Noted. Now, if you come to me in
Yep.
person, I would gladly say hi, what's going on. But as you get older, you're like, my tribe will expose itself and my tribe will find me. But what I can't keep
Yep.
doing is trying to sit at everyone else's table. And what 2023 taught me was, baby, I got to build my own table sometimes. And when I built my table, I was shocked at who came to sit. Shocked.
You know what just comes to mind when you said that? Sometimes God will make you be alone, so you have to build your own table anyway. That's what this season of life is. You have got to make a table for you, and I'm gonna put the people that are supposed to be in your life at that table, and that's how you're gonna know who's for you. Because if there's one thing I have learned recently, and again, we've had so many conversations about family and stuff in the background, but I think what I've learned, and it's something that I recently learned, is that when you make decisions like that and you stand firm on who you are and what you want for your life, to those who aren't for you, you can
Hello.
recategorize them. Right? So, sometimes you don't have to cut them out, but I'm going to put you in this new box because I've seen what happens when something arises in the relationship. I'm going to put you in this category, and that's where you're going to stay. Doesn't mean I don't love you any less. I could love you just the same, but now that you have escalated and you're moving up in life and you're trying new things and you're changing, right, now you begin to see how things really play out. So there's nothing wrong with, and I'm gonna be the good advocate in this conversation when it comes to this, because I'm not one of those people that's like, just cut them out of your life.
I know.
Just forget them.
My
just cut them
empathic
out.
self, I hate doing that.
Right, because it sucks. Like I've been the one on the other end too,
Like,
and it sucks.
I don't want to let them go. I didn't. My intention. I want to be besties, but they don't want to be my bestie. It's like,
they don't want to be my bestie either. Like, they're in your heart and spirit. Like their love has not changed, but sometimes a part of growth is just realize that, you know what, this relationship wasn't what I thought it was. But you know what? That's okay, because they're going to be in this box, and that is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm just like, my heart is way too big and way too caring to be like, bye. Without bye, just cut you off and without any whatever.
And sometimes when you say things like, I love to end sentences sometimes with, and that's okay. Because that programs your mind of going, they're not an enemy. They don't hate me. And if they are my enemy,
right,
like I always like to tell God, I said, please, and like I'm always like, God, make my enemies my step stools. That's as a very powerful prayer.
Yep.
Start saying that. And for anyone who's like me or who has felt like this, that you're like, man, I'm just not getting invited. I'm not considered in people's life.
Yep.
Make your own table. I know you're going to get made fun of building the table.
Yep.
You're going to get made fun of getting the going to Home Depot and getting the supplies. You're going to be looked at like you're crazy. Well, oh, you over here building your own table? What, you don't like us? All of those are going to come. But build that table, make it solid. I think is oak really solid. I don't know what wood is solid, but get that kind of wood. Get some cushions for the seats and sit at that table and embrace those moments of like, okay, ain't nobody coming, but I'm gonna sit here. Because imagine you leaving your own table too soon.
Mm-hmm. And you're almost done with it too. Mm-hmm.
You built this table, you sitting there, and you so
Yeah.
scared about what you looking like that you get up too soon from your own table, and now you have an unoccupied table that might be filled with the wrong people because you weren't there to facilitate. No, you can sit here. You can't. You can though. It's pretty much taking ownership of your life.
I think it also comes down to, also to add on to that, I think it's just, it's human nature, right? We want to be connected. We want
Absolutely.
to be in the in crowd. We want to be connected to people, have a bunch of friends, but it's like, I think as you grow and you escalate and things change, that image of like wanting to be connected and in the in crowd, it just changes. And that includes, listen, you just can't be at my table. Doesn't mean I don't want you to eat and do well, but you just can't be here.
Period.
So that whole image is something that you have to develop. It's like you said, you just have to build your own. And you got to put stuff on the table and build the table how you want it to be for you. And those who love you, those who really like genuinely care, they will sit there, and not only will they come to the table, but they gonna bring a table to the table.
They gonna bring
with you.
They
So
gonna
that you
bring
could
the
have
side
two tables
dishes.
with
They
you.
gonna bring the silverware, and that
They gonna bring the dessert. They gonna have
everything.
catering service at that
And I
table
think
with you. Yes, and
what
you'll know.
what the table symbolizes, and just even what we talked about, it's about being authentic. Being authentic in your healing,
Mm-hmm.
being authentic in your pain, being authentic in general is going to get you very far in life. We've got too many. I can't tell you how many people go, "Oh my gosh, you're just like you are on your social media. Like you're just this." They're like, I've gotten like, "You're even nicer in person," and I'm like, "That's weird. I don't know why you would think I'm fake, but it's sad. But that's a reality that people are like,
Wow.
oh snap, like you really are what you
Yeah.
say you are." I've even gotten told, which I think that's got to be God,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think about these things. people, people are like, every time I go to your profile, they're like, when I first saw your profile, it has like this like energy to it, like it's very infectious. And I was like, well, that's probably because I'm very authentic. Now, are you going to see me online in my pajamas with like a big zit? Probably not, because I probably don't want to share that all the time.
It has to be shared
But
online.
what I do strive
Right.
for
Mm-hmm.
and represent is authenticity. I'm just like, you can't get your tribe, you can't get your healing, you can't get nothing that's for you until you decide to be you.
But here's the thing too. We live in an era where being your authentic self is not only not common, but it's almost
Hello.
threatening, right? I mean, you go on any social media site, 99% are going to be either promoting some crazy agenda, they're not going to be who they are online. You're going to meet them in person, and they're not going to be what they said online. They are going to be somebody totally different, and that, I mean, it's just how it is. That's just the era we live in, right?
Breaks my heart.
But it really, what's funny? I had an incident happen yesterday. Okay, I didn't get to tell you offline, but I'm
Hello.
gonna tell
Okay,
everybody
this
now.
first, you
Okay,
guys,
so yesterday,
exclusive from Ashley.
listen, you about to get an exclusive event. Okay, told first time. Okay, so yesterday, like for those of you that know me personally, even you, I'm naturally pretty chill and I'm pretty happy
Right.
most of the time. Like I'm not gonna be happy every day.
That's
Okay,
unrealistic.
I'm just like everybody else. But like most of the time, my character is I'm pretty happy most of the time because I choose to be happy. Like that's just a
Right.
choice that I make. If I can and I enjoy the happy moments that I can. But yesterday, I was at work. Somebody literally looked me in the eyes and they said, "Wow, you're just always happy." Like in this degrading, like demeaning tone. And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Explain,
Like in my
sir.
head, I was like, I literally I looked at this person like this. I was like,
I would do the
"Excuse me?"
same.
And then they kind of walked off like, you don't just tell people that and then just walk away. Like, you don't just say that and then just like leave them to. What I realize is that when you are when you're feeling what you're feeling and you are what you are always, people don't like that. I just feel like people don't like it or
It
don't know
sounded
how to
like a
take that.
backhanded compliment.
Like
You
this
know, like
person,
like, you look happy.
it did.
Okay.
Like, you can't just be happy just to be happy. Like, do you want me to go online and just look
I've
miserable
gotten
and
that
like you want me
same,
to
not with
be?
happy, but I'm too kind. They think, Alexis, you're too kind. You
Oh,
must really, either you're really crazy or you must want something. And I'm like, well,
what?
um,
That you're that you're crazy? I've never heard someone
like,
say that.
I'm just like,
It's
well,
crazy.
I'm sorry that you think that, but when I tell you I choose to be kind because you haven't done anything to me to make me be mean. Unless I should be mean, I don't. It's simply a reflection that people are so conditioned to negativity that I
Yeah.
think any ounce of joy, peace, kindness that you exude, they don't know how to take it. And I have come to the realization,
Yeah.
people do not know how to articulate their feelings because maybe inside that person was like, man, I kind of wish I was as happy as her, but it came out as a backhanded compliment. So it's like, got it. You're better than me. I probably would have been like, I would have been so speechless. I would have been like,
I was. Let me tell you, I literally.
I do.
Okay, so first of all, I've known you. Okay, I've known you for how long now? Like, I want to
Almost a
say
year,
almost a
yeah.
year. I've never seen you. Every conversation, even on a bad day, you were always. You're a kind individual. You were always kind. You were always nice. Like, that's
Yeah,
just
it's like
your
there's unless you
character.
really piss me off, maybe
So the
I'm not
fact that,
kind, but yeah.
but you know, you can always tell when someone's being kind just because
Right.
that's just how they
Versus
are, and then
the fake.
you know what I'm saying? Versus just trying to pretend to be kind. You know the difference. But like, I would never give you a backhanded compliment and be like, "You're just too nice."
So weird.
But it's like, I think you're I think you're right though. We have been so conditioned, especially by social media, that we have to portray something, right? Like, you have to put on this like costume
Right.
with the mask, and you have to portray something. It's like, no, you don't.
You
I mean,
can.
you can portray an image that you want to portray, but you don't have to portray this image. And like, especially with all these social media couples, let me tell you what. I don't know what it is recently, but I am sick and tired of these couples on Instagram and social media. Every single video, it's like y'all are really this happy and funny every video. Y'all ain't ever had an argument. Y'all ain't ever angry sometimes. And like, can we just have some real
Or just
emotions?
like nothing staged. I think I understand that we do need a positive image. I
Yeah,
think we definitely need more positive images because every podcaster, and this
sure.
is, I talked about this on one of my other episodes, how I'm like, God, I don't want to do this podcast because like there's too many people with microphones that are really ignorant.
We know.
Um,
Yeah, right.
there's a fine line between promoting healthy relationships versus, oh, now you just staging everything. And because no couple is really not that, and it's not that we're asking to see y'all's debates or arguments,
Bad,
but we definitely
negative,
need the
right, right.
conversations of, okay, how did y'all deal with that? Because we're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing, we're not hearing those conversations. Just like, so we're going to Dubai and like, oh, look at the restaurant we went to and oh, look at the rings I just bought. That's great, but I know y'all can't stand each other every day.
Right. There has to be, right. There's got to be some days where y'all are just like, y'all don't want to be near each other.
It's like, how do you
Some days,
navigate those? And that's
you
why I
know?
do respect like Tabitha Brown and her husband, Kev on stage, and his wife. Like, they're happy
Yes.
and they're healthy. You can tell they're healthy. But their conversations are like, yo, like, I didn't like him for 5 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, and you're right, because we're in these two extremes. And I even think the people that, both men and women who are on podcast, who are, or these little panels that we see, I think they're even starting to exaggerate the toxicity too much. Because now it's like we're just in two extremes. We're either exaggerating the toxicity and making space for people to constantly tell us there ain't nobody good out here and da 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 da. So that's fear. Then we have this fantasy
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, they're always happy all the time. Look at the vacations they're going on. So between fantasy and fear, there's got to be reality. And that's what we're missing. What's the reality of this? Because neither of y'all are the reality. This is why we have to have a
You know
separate
what? I
episode. I'm
was
telling you,
literally
we will. After this, we're scheduling it because
we have to, because we've talked about it. I mean, just us as human beings, we've talked about it. Like all these different, I'm not going to say names, but you know who I'm talking about. These different panels that go on and they spread this. It's either fantasy, like you said, it's either fear, or it's blatant
or
misinformation.
projection.
Like you literally, or projection. It's like, and projection can be seen, right? You can look at what somebody is saying and go, what they're saying, they are clearly saying out of whatever emotion they're feeling and whatever hurt. But here's the thing too. A lot of that projection sells.
It does.
People who want to have just these natural conversations, just like these normal everyday conversations, they don't really sell much, right? People, I think, as a general populace, as a population as a whole, like the projection because it feeds something in us as a human being. Like Tony Gaskins has always said in his videos, right? When you listen to these different panels and channels, right? What they're saying, in some degree, even a very tiny, small one,
It does.
it makes sense. You listen to it, you're like, wow, like that's actually right. Like that's actually true. But then, like you just mentioned, then if it's not that, it's either fear or fantasy. So where does the reality on the spectrum actually come in? You know what I'm saying? Like, which side of the spectrum are we gonna be in, the near the fantasy side or the fear side of things? So it's a very sad reality, because like you said, we gotta have another episode about these different panels and the message that they're spreading. Because I know we've talked about it before.
Just so much. I'm gonna wrap it up because I don't want my listeners, because y'all listen, this is God. Let me tell you something. Let me have a vulnerable moment, right? Every interview I've had, I literally, you know how you think God, like, oh well, 30 minutes will be fine. I'm thinking I'm not worthy of 30 minutes of people's time. And straight up, vulnerability. So I'm thinking, man, to get 30 minutes out of people is gonna be so hard. And I'll tell you, I've done 3 interviews and they've all been almost 2 hours. So when the God that we serve is exceedingly and abundantly will bless you beyond what your means. Can we get an amen?
Yes, amen. You got 2 amens for me. Amen.
I just we're gonna wrap it up. I will have Miss Ashley back, best believe, because I knew in my spirit we couldn't mix your life and then dating, because your life is one aspect and then dating is a whole child.
Listen, that episode, we gonna have to schedule that for a little bit more than 2 hours for that one, because that is another conversation.
But I do want to thank you though for sharing what you have with not just me, with listeners, because people are going to listen, and I believe that. And what you said about your life and the things that you've gone through and the healing and the mental health aspect, I really think somebody needed to hear that. I want to remind the listeners, like, please, like, it doesn't matter how messy your childhood was. It doesn't matter how messy you are currently. And if you think that you are a complete mess up or God doesn't want to help you, he will. And you have 2 people here that have said, listen, if you just humbly just go, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? I promise you're listening to two women and two human beings that embrace the journey, embrace the journey. Hello, my own plug.
Right. Embrace the journey,
And
right?
embrace the process of
Right.
healing and
Mhm.
just believing that we deserve better, that our past isn't the rest of my life, that my future
Yep.
could be so bright that I don't even realize it. So thank you very much,
Mhm.
Ashley. I can't thank you enough. I really can't. You know me. It is what it is. I'm the sappy one. So
Oh, listen, we could have a competition on that one because, when you first asked me, right, like, I'm one of those people, I like to plan what I'm going to say in advance. Like, I got to make sure that what I'm saying is, like, kind of prepped and, like, planned. And before I came on today, I prayed. I was like, God, I just hope I don't screw this up. I want to do well. I just hope that, and I know that I literally skipped over about 80% of my actual life. I'm just giving the big bullet points here. So please understand that, like, I skipped over a lot, but we got to the juice today.
we
We got to
did.
the seeds of it today. But I am so happy that you brought me on. You know me. You are my soul sister, and I would do anything for you. So I'm always going to be supportive of you. And I'm kind of glad that I'm so actually not even glad. I am happy we did this because I feel like we're going to have a lot more. I feel like this is the beginning of another journey. This is us embracing the journey of life, of just being a human being. And my only, I guess, to wrap it up, for anybody who's listening, just realize that there is never a point where it's too late to change. It is never too late. It does not matter what you have been through, it does not matter how bad it was. The change begins with you. It is a difficult journey. It is not going to be an easy one. You are going to fall. And even when you're healing, you're going to fall and you're going to fall again. But embrace the falling and the failures in the process. And the journey never ends. So it is a forever, lifelong process. And it only gets better. So just realize that you are worth the journey. You are worth it.
Period. With a T.
With the T. Two
Right.
T's and a
And
period.
I want y'all, please go spam her page. I will have everything linked. Please go support her because I'm very particular about whose voice I do bring on. And it's really God. Like, God's the one that's like, okay, reach out to that person. Reach out to that person. I'm just like, I don't think they're gonna come on. So please spam her, follow her, because I really do not just ask anybody. Nor do I connect with anybody on social media like this. So that's why this one is very special. But until next time, because this one I can actually guarantee y'all there will be a next time, but it's gonna be a juicy topic,
We gonna find something to talk about.
So
Yes, ma'am.
thank you everyone for listening. Like, subscribe, repost, do all the things that we have to do, right? And go
Yes,
follow
yes.
my sister, Miss Ashley. And until next time, because there will be a next time. I love y'all, and I guess
Oh.
that's it. Peace.